why people left in the past few years. Now, in order to get the insights into the data and answer the first research question, we will create a pivot table. We select a pivot table, we say select all the data in table 1. Okay. The status year, but there's still no termination reason in here, which is weird. So I click more tables. Do you want to create a new pivot table? Yes. And I want table 1 with termination reason. So that's good. We now have the termination reason. The termination reason goes into the columns. So we see not applicable, we see resignation, we see retirement, and we see layoff. So that's good. That's good. On the left, we put the year, so the status year. So there we go. And then we put the employee ID as a count. But then we get really high numbers. Why? Because if we go to the original data set, we see that everyone is counted double. So if we go to the pivot table in this data set, we click a filter which is called status. At the beginning of the first part, we saw that we just need to look at the people who are terminated. Not the active people, because there's a lot of active record, but once they're terminated, that's the final record, and there's only a single record, there's no duplicates there. So we need to filter on just the people who are terminated. And if I then click OK, we have a full picture of why people left. Because I've removed all the duplicates, and I can now say insert a bar chart, just select the data, this data, I click OK, and I now see the reasons why people resigned, the resignations, which is the orange bar. I see in the gray bar the retirements. So a few years ago, in 2006, 7, 8, we had a lot of people who retired, that went down. And we see the layoffs in 2014 and 2015. And this is basically the answer to the first research question. Why did people leave in the past few years? They left mainly because of layoffs in this data set. The second question is, are people still resigning at a higher rate than normal? And I'll park this. To answer this question, we need to be creative with our data. So we were talking about resigning. So we take we copy the years and the resignation data. We insert yet another table, and we can do it in a bar chart. That's a safe choice. But that doesn't really work because now it includes also the years. So we remove this and we say, hey, just give us a bar chart of the sequence, but this still doesn't really tell us much. The best type of graph we want to go with is a scatter plot, because we have 2 rows of data, and as you saw in the bar chart, that didn't really look good. We have 2 rows of data, so we want an x and a y axis to view this data. So we select the scatter plot, we say select data, select this specific kind of data, I click OK, and what you see now is the number of years from 2006 to 2015, and you see the number of people that actually left. So I can change this table by formatting the axis just to make it look slightly better. 2006 to 2015, there we go. The units are 1. And now you see actually some pattern in the data. But our HR manager asked, are people still resigning at a higher rate than normal? To answer this question, we need to know what normal is. We can either take an average, so we equal the average of all the values. So we select all the values, we click OK. The average was 38, and in 2015 only 26 people resigned. So that's one way of finding out, and saying, hey, actually people are not resigning at the same rate as they were before. But the question is, what's the trend in resignations? And to find this out, you can click one of the points, scatter points in the table, right click them and say add trend line. And when we add the trend line, we can actually select a regression analysis. That's something we'll talk about in the next video. We want to know the moving average. And in the moving average, you see it takes the first and the second point and then takes the average of those 2 points and it plots them on the map. You can see the third point is perfect on the moving average. And now it takes a moving average over the last 2 periods. And I can also select 3 periods and then you get a slightly vaguer picture. Let's stick with the last 2 periods. What you see is a moving average. You see it going up all the way up to 2012. And from 2012 you see it going down. And actually the 2015 numbers are well below the moving average. So the trend in resignation is it goes down, and last year it's even lower than the moving average, so it's even lower than we expected it to be. With this setting you can play around with your moving average, with multiple data points, and get some prediction. Well, it's not a prediction, get a view of how it was in the past. So now we've moved from the traditional, we just know how many people quit, how many contracts were terminated, to a much more nuanced sheet number 7, where we see, hey, why did people leave? They left because of layoffs. I should even be able to put in a explanation of what the color is. And I do this, I did it quickly by quick layout and selecting a layout that has an indication of what the colors are. You see, hey, resignations went up shortly, but then died down again. So that maybe there was a low engagement or some kind of crisis within the organization. Or the economy started to boom again, which is also a perfect explanation. Retirement slowed down. People were afraid to early retire, maybe because of the crisis. I don't know. You need to ask around in the organization. I don't know this organization that well. And you see that there were a number of layoffs in 2014 and 2015, which caused quite a bit of the turnover. Without the layoffs, the number of terminations would be quite normal. So the big peak in 2015 is for a big part layoffs. That, almost in a nutshell, answers the 3 research questions of our HR manager. Why did people leave in the past few years? Are people still resigning at a higher rate than normal? What's the trend in resignations? And how do you think it will develop in the future? Well, I don't expect 80 people to leave all of a sudden, unless something drastically changes. Why? Because the trend is going down and the trend line is well, below average. So maybe there's a regression to the mean. Maybe 40 people will leave, but I don't expect 80 people to leave in 2016. And 2016 is already a few years in the past. So we might have that data if we updated it right now. We don't at the moment, but if it was 2015 today, and I would have to make a prediction to 2016, then I would expect it not to be above the average, above, in this case, 39 or the moving average 40. So this is a simple way, and it involves a lot of different steps, but it's a good way of seeing, hey, how can I combine multiple data sets and actually get some advanced analytics going, and how can I do it myself? And we went through quite some steps, and the challenge that I would like to give to you is try to do this yourself. Take the 2 data sets, combine them, figure out how to work with the year, and then play around. Set yourself a hypothesis and then try to answer the hypothesis using the data.